Every once in a while, a genre needs a breath of fresh air, and Dune Part 2 is absolutely what the science fiction genre needed to jump into the forefront once again. Frank Herbert's classic novel was considered unadaptable for a very, very long time, for a multitude of reasons. Its provocative storytelling, insane visuals, and slightly entrancing, I guess is a good way to say it, storytelling, leads to a tale that is so hard to put to the screen. What happens in the words in the book, and is displayed within your mind as you read it, is very tough to translate for Dune, but Denis Villeneuve has done an incredible job at pushing that forward. He truly has created what I believe to be a modern science fiction masterpiece that deserves to be discussed with the greats like Empire Strikes Back or Blade Runner. It's absolutely incredible and stunning to witness everything that happens. Sand has never looked so good. Dune at its core is a story about destiny and what it means to achieve one's destiny and what it means to believe in something that seems larger than life. Now, Dune definitely has its critiques of religion, of belief, and of things that, people give their lives to, and that maybe we shouldn't perhaps put our faith into something that can sometimes be so flimsy. But I think Dune also does a great job of showing how one person can truly achieve things that seem extraordinary and inhuman. Paul Atreides is an interesting character because he doesn't follow the archetype you would expect him to. He's a hero in some ways, but he's also certainly not. It all depends on perspective. There's a great line in this film where one character says, "You fool, there are no sides." That line is quite simple, but in the moment it's placed, truly adds a whole new context to the film. There are no sides in Dune. This is simply a story of what happened on a planet far, far away from here. No pun intended there. I particularly loved Zendaya's performance in Dune Part 2, and while her character is significantly changed from the book, or well, I shouldn't say significantly, but has had the most changes out of everyone in the story, I definitely think she does a great job of portraying what the film wanted her to be, and I think that they did a great job bringing her character in a more unique and interesting and self-aggrandizing way. She stands on her own 2 feet no matter what, and doesn't let anything stop her. I think this is great in contrary to Paul, who suffers at the fate of trying to stand on his own 2 feet. He doesn't understand how to do it, and he doesn't know what to do to protect the people he cares about, but he knows desperately he'll do whatever it takes to do that. Maybe even a few steps too far at times. And I think that makes that dynamic between the two of them beautiful. We also have Lady Jessica, Paul's mother, who is even more Bene Gesserit crazy person this time around than in Part 1, and I think Rebecca Ferguson utterly kills it as her. She's definitely the standout for me, along with Javier Bardem as Stilgar. Stilgar is, I don't want to say comedic relief, but he has plenty of natural comedic moments that don't feel forced, and his character is just so heartfelt and genuine that you can't help but love him, even if he comes off foolish at times. It truly is a beautiful sentiment that so many people in modern history have. They believe in something that everybody else finds foolish, but they stand on their own 2 feet, much like Zendaya's character, but in the exact opposite way. They fully give themselves to something because, as he says, it doesn't matter if you believe, it matters that I believe. Now, if you've read the Dune book or seen the original film from the 80s, you'll know that Part 2 of the story is a lot more exciting and thrilling than Part 1. I think a lot of people who had issues with Part 1 could actually find themselves enjoying Part 2 significantly more. And I'm really excited to one day sit down and watch it all through as if it was one film. I really think it would flow perfectly. It's an interesting idea how you can split a film in half, and while people hate the first half when it first comes out for being slow, which I disagree with, but still is an understandable complaint, when you put it in the context of Part 2, it becomes something so much greater. Like Lord of the Rings. If you watch just one part and you didn't have the others, it completely is pointless. But Part 2 completes this duality, I guess you could say, of the story, and it takes what you think Part 1 was doing and completely flips it on its head, much as Frank Herbert's novel does. The novel was always famous for its provocative ending that happens kind of abruptly, and yet I think that's beautiful. It's part of the enjoyment of Dune. When you put down the book, you just kind of sit there and go, damn. And that's how I felt leaving this film. I just watched the ending, I'll keep it vague and no spoilers, and then as I sat there, I just thought, damn. It really makes you think about life It makes you think about the choices you've made. It makes you think about what it means to be a hero. And it makes you think about what it means to lead people. And how leadership can truly affect groups in positive and very negative ways. The Fremen are a character in this film, not just in the sense that they are people who are all around, but their society is a character, and it's interesting to watch that character develop by the end of the film. Who they are at the beginning, and who they certainly are throughout all of Part 1, is not the character they are at the end. And I think that that's also really important. Characters don't have to be a specific person, but they can be an entire lineage or an entire family line, like the Atreides or the Harkonnens, and you can see how that character changes over time as well. Some other performances that I enjoyed in a sense, but also didn't think were as strong as the rest, was particularly Christopher Walken as the Emperor. He's a fantastic actor and does a great job. Not what I'm saying. But I just found myself a little pulled out of it by it because he's just Christopher Walken. Who is this Atreides you speak of? It's like, I can't not see it. And that's not on him, that's just fame. But it personally doesn't fit just as much as I personally wanted it to. I also wish we could have had a little bit more of Dave Bautista. I feel like when he shows up on screen, similarly to Part 1, he's kind of just there for a minute, screams a lot, and then does something and leaves. And I really wish that we got more confliction with his character so he didn't just come off as this brutal Harkonnen like he did in the first one. I would have loved to have seen more extended view of his character's growth, although we do get more of him this time around. I also would be remiss to not mention Austin Butler as Feyd-Rautha. Holy moly, is he amazing. I utterly loved him. He's so brutal, scary, and terrifying. He's creepy in a truly creepy way. It doesn't come off overacted, as you see so many people do with characters like that. He is truly terrifying, almost like a snake that slithers in the grass, not just to eat, but because it enjoys the suffering it inflicts. A very Lucifer-esque character, and he's very, very terrifying. I utterly loved the knife duel between him and Paul as well, as shown in the trailers. That sequence is so good. It feels so raw, so brutal, and it's the culmination of a story that I think is one of the greats. It would be an understatement for me to just give this film a 10 out of 10. I think it's an instant classic. I think it's one of the best sci-fi films, if not the best sci-fi film possibly ever. People are complaining about it climbing through the ranks of something like Letterboxd, which, by the way, great transition, I have made an account for. I wrote a short review for Dune Part 2 over there, and I put it in the description of this video, so go follow me over there if you have a Letterboxd. I hope to review lots more movies and stuff I won't cover long form on the channel, just very quickly to give people something to enjoy, so check that out. But, as I was saying, people are complaining about it breaking the top 10 on Letterboxd, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I actually think it completely deserves that spot. There's nothing wrong with modern films achieving greatness. So many people think they should be put below the classics, but I don't think that's the case at all. When something this amazing truly comes around, it deserves all the praise it's getting. And that's why I wholeheartedly recommend you go watch Dune Part 2, and see Part 1 if you haven't seen that yet, and then go see Part 2. Or read the book. It's also amazing, and I highly recommend it too. But particularly, Villeneuve's interpretation of the story is amazing. I utterly love it. But what did you think of Dune Part 2? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What did it make you feel? Leave a comment below, and tell me if you believe in the Lisan El Gaib. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with someone you think will enjoy it. I've been Willis. Thank you for tuning into COFY Studios, and I'll catch you in the next one.